Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my relationship with alcohol that lasted for 10 years. It got so bad that I had to quit and change a lot of things in my life. So let's get into it. My journey with alcohol started, in high school, like kind of as it does for most kids. I have been brought up with my mom being in AA. What I remember, my dad was very respectful of it. There wasn't alcohol in the house, and we just kind of grew up with it not around, not really knowing what it even was. Then in high school, my mom had told me, there's addiction that runs in the family. You're gonna have to be careful with what you consume. I don't think I drank until I was like 16. Even then I was scared of it because I hadn't grown up around it. And my mom made it seem like it was something I should take seriously. She didn't scare me, but that was like my own thing with it. It's like, okay, this feels like it has potential to be a heavy presence. So in high school, I had like dreadlocks. I was just kind of like that hippie stoner chick. I really did tread lightly with booze in the beginning. And then when I was 17, so my junior year of high school, my mom died. When my mom died, I just had no way to cope with that loss. My mom was absolutely amazing. So the rug got ripped out from under me, like quite severely. That really catapulted my drinking. That was when I reached for the bottle. I would go out with friends, anything to numb what I was experiencing internally. Yeah, and me being an empath and being 17, my sister being 12, and my dad's world just got rocked too. I put a lot of responsibility on my own shoulders to help my dad and help my sister. Well, my mom passed away right at the end of my junior year. And then that summer was really rough. And then my senior year, and me and two of my friends would skip out like almost every Tuesday and leave and literally go and get drunk. Yeah, that first year just like rocked my world. My senior year, I got my CNA license. I was a certified nursing assistant. And then I was planning on going to nursing school. So I went and I only made it one semester. I did not treat it like school. I partied all the time, and it connected me to a network of people that knew where the parties were at. Mainly, it was connecting me to people that were a few years older than me that had their license and could go and buy me booze. Because I had lost such an integral part of my life, I was seeking validation from anyone and everything. And then add in alcohol and then needing validation, I was putting myself in really scary situations with boys at the time, right? Because they're not even men at that point, they were boys. Yeah, was kind of manipulated and used and abused because I was in a really vulnerable state. But then I did end up meeting my first husband. He was a few years older than me, and he was of the legal drinking age, and he was supplying a lot of my alcohol. And so our relationship was literally founded in partying and drinking. That is like your foundation that kind of sets a tone, right? And I can look back now with clarity, and it did set a tone. Drinking as much as possible on the weekends, just burning myself out with school, work, partying, no time to process what had happened in my life. It was just like, if I keep going, I just gotta keep going. And obviously your emotional system cannot just handle never processing anything and just running through life and running away from everything that's bothering you. Like every weekend, it was just party, 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 party. We've bought a house in our hometown, and really lucky, it had a pool. Drinking, pool, and like that summer was chilling by the pool, having some drinks, and it just kind of trickled into winter. We were doing lots of house parties. My bachelorette party that was a few months before the wedding, like, oh my God, just like debauchery. I think I was masking pretty happy at the time. It was all survival. Keep moving and then everything will just be better one day. And when you're not doing any internal work and processing, that's just not how it goes whatsoever. I was working with my friends at a local salon, and because it was my friends, and because I was in charge of my own schedule, my drinking it was like my priority. Oh man, the amount of Mondays where I was just depressed and hungover and feeling absolutely vile physically and emotionally, I lost count. It was so often. In 2020, when COVID hit, and because I was a hairstylist and not essential, that was basically 2 months off of work for me. I was drinking heavy in the start, and then there were a few hangovers that really whooped my ass that I was like, okay. I took the rest of lockdown pretty seriously. I started going on walks once or twice a day. I got really into yoga at this time. And for me, being, you know, and it's funny because I look back and I'm like, well, duh, hello. Because in 2020, when I gave it up, I had to just say like, okay, I'm not drinking at all. Like there was no point in that lockdown where it was like, okay, we're taking it easy, but you can just have one to like relax. I knew myself, and if I had one, I was never stopping. So it was a cold turkey, 100% not allowing it, hard stop. And that worked. And I went through the rest of lockdown and I like lost weight. I really prioritized my health. I kind of got my shit together. And then when lockdown ended, the debauchery started right back up. I was drinking so much to escape absolutely everything. The swing of the pendulum between hammered and carefree and then cripplingly depressed. With my internal compass being just broken at the time, the only thing that was loud and clear was that I needed to leave Wisconsin and I really wanted to move to Arizona. Deep down I knew that like it had to change and that like if my location changed, it would really force me to look at things. That was like a deep knowing, and I just kind of went with it. We moved out to Arizona in July of 2021, and we had visitors right away. It was like they were out here, we were on new soil, and I was tearing it up just like I was at the bars in Wisconsin. And I was ashamed of my behavior when I was drinking. I never knew when to stop. I was embarrassing myself in public. I was saying things that I definitely did not mean. I was being reckless and carefree. At the end of August in 2021, it was like a Saturday and we were bored, and so we went to a place that did happy hour all day Saturday from like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I blacked out probably like midday at like 1 o'clock, and I was just like one of those where then I'm like Snapchatting everything I'm doing. I'm like putting it on my stories. I'm looking back at it the next day like, that was never meant to be a public moment. What are you doing? And that day, I blacked out, was at another bar. It was like 9 p.m., came back online for like a half hour, blacked out again, woke up the next morning. I was asleep. I was laying in a shower. I was blocking the drain. The shower was flooding. The bathroom was flooded. It went into the bedroom that had carpeted and that was flooded. Threw one towel down, went back to bed, woke up again, realized my phone, my wallet, everything was gone. I had just started a new business in Arizona as a hairstylist, and my phone was gone. I didn't know if I was gonna get it back. That had my clients on it, that had my schedule, that had everything that I had just set up for my brand new business on it. Luckily, I did get everything back, but that day, I hit my point. I moved to a new place and my problems are still following me and I have to get my shit together. So I reached out to my mom's two best friends who have been in AA forever, work the program, they're sponsors, they're amazing women in AA. They were just like, yeah, your mom wanted you to experience alcohol and didn't want us to intervene or tell you what to do because she knew you well enough that if somebody told you not to do it, you'd probably do it even more. And that's so true. They said, we kind of knew. We knew that there would be a day where you would call and this would happen. And they saved my life that day. They saved my life. I'm here today because of them. They gave me all the advice my mom would have given me. They gave me all the advice that I really needed. They straight up asked me, they were like, what is your relationship with cannabis now that you're somewhere where you can acquire it legally? I have said for years, like if I could just do that and like let go of alcohol, I think that would be enough to allow me to decompress but not numb everything. And that's the big difference for me between cannabis and alcohol. One completely numbs everything and comes back the next day 10 times stronger. One numbs it enough where you can do the internal processing, but it's softer. I said, if that's something that you want to do, you're going to have to trial and error some meetings, because in AA, some meetings are supportive and some are a little bit more shame heavy and rule bound. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. It'll be okay. And simultaneously, I was getting all my tattoos. I had wanted sleeves for a very long time, so I moved out to Arizona. I found my amazing, he's like my big brother, who does my tattoos. And him and I immediately bonded. I started going to him very consistently. We spent lots and lots of time together. And so my tattoo artist, he is also Cali sober, and he very quickly became my mentor, and I would see him, oh my God, all the time. I was in the shop all the time, and he would always check on me and ask, you know, how my milestones were going and how I was feeling about everything, and didn't let myself smoke for the first 6 months that I got sober. When I did, I told him, and he was like, okay, as long as you're not using it to escape or cope and it's just to get, you know, creativity out or process things. He was an amazing mentor. And then there was another girl that worked at the salon who was also sober and an amazing mentor to me. It made me feel very capable, knowing that I had my aunts a phone call away. I had people actually in the state that I saw on a very regular basis that also supported me. And all of the girls that I had met at the salon, more of them were sober, more of them were accepting of my choice and my new path, and I was making all of these friends while being very freshly new sober. So that really helped in my early sobriety. I don't know where I would be if I didn't have all of their support and their open-mindedness at that period in my life. When I got sober, I was like bored. I was like, what do you do with all this time? And it really made me realize how much time was spent spending money and time in a bar. It just gave me a lot of clarity. It started to highlight the areas in my life where I wasn't being as authentic. I gave myself a lot of time to like sit with my emotions. If there was like an event going on that people wanted me to go to, and I felt like it was gonna trigger me too much and I could risk bellying up to the bar and grabbing a gin and tonic, I would just ground myself and I would stay home. And I would say, you know, I just can't, this is too much. I'm feeling triggered and I need to know why I want to escape and numb right now. It funneled me into the deepest internal assessment that I had done since my mom died. And then, only then, was when I really started processing my mom's death and like what my relationship was with her, what it has been without her, and numbing and not dealing with any of this. And it made me find my relationship with her again in spirit. So we'll talk more about that later on, but it really furthered my connection to source and to where we come from and the universe. The things that came up during that and the things that I purged and the clarity that I received from those meditation sessions really made me realize I was seeking attention and I was acting out when I would drink because I wasn't happy with my waking life. I just feel like I didn't have respect for myself, and there were times when I was drunk that I did not have respect for our marriage. And I made a bold decision to get a divorce. As weird as it was, being out in Arizona, I knew that I was meant to meet my soulmate, and I had a really strong hunch that they were in Arizona. So I took a few months after the divorce to work on myself, really make a list of everything that I did need in a person, because I had found that very clearly. The parts that I felt were neglected, I knew that they couldn't be in this next relationship. And so just a lot of self-work, a lot of just talking to myself, sitting in silence, journaling helped immensely throughout all of that. Especially, you know, I felt guilty about the divorce. I felt guilty about all the actions that inevitably led up to it, and I had to process that before I was going to jump into something new. But then I met Eli, who is my soulmate, and who on paper was everything that I had been asking for and everything that I knew I needed, and then some. I said I didn't want kids. I said I was never going to have kids, and he has a daughter, and that was something that I knew I could run away from and escape because it just felt too big and too much of a responsibility and not what I wanted to deal with. But If I looked at my story honestly, I'm here to grow and I'm here to evolve and I'm here to change. And I had all those nurturing characteristics to me innately. When that happened, I was like, do I run away? And because enough of every other box was checked, I was like, I'd be an idiot to run away. I don't back down from a challenge. This is going to be the challenge that it is in my life for a reason, and I need to do this. So coming up, I'm going to do more segmented sections and give more direct tips and tricks for grieving, delayed grieving, coping with alcohol, finding the strength to get a divorce. There's lots to come. There is so much that I've learned along this journey, and if any of this resonates with you, if you've lost someone and you lost your way because of it, reach out, comment, oh my God, I have been there. And there is nothing more isolating than losing someone that you absolutely love, that is a pillar of your life, and then feeling lost. You have compassion in my heart because for a while I was a mess and there were some actions that hurt people, you know, and I hurt myself in a lot of that as well. So I just want to be a hand to hold. When times are hard and things are tough and everything seems dark and bleak, I have lived that, and I want to show you that you can have hope and you can change things. It takes time and it takes a lot of hard work, but it is possible, and I just want to be a light to show others that I made it through some really hard stuff and you can too.